nice. Sporting Phase is supposed to be my game, but it was my worst score. So.
Morning, Cindy.
Good morning.
Good morning. Everybody staying dry?
Yeah, trying to. These guys are working out on the tank.
Oh geez, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Has it become a pool?
I think they've got a truck here to pump. What? So I think they're keeping it halfway decent, but they've got the fill all covered with just a mess. It's raining so hard out at times.
Oh, there's flood warnings everywhere.
I know. Hi, Jane, you could make it.
Hi, well, I can't guarantee I can stay, but I will try.
Bill, I think more than one person has their volume on.
Chris, can you shut your volume off? Getting a reverb.
7.5 inches. She puts in the filter.
My volume. Just shut off.
I think if you just mute yourself on your screen, Chris, it should be all right. There you go.
Hi, Jane.
Hi, Bill. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. You having a good summer?
So far, so good.
Good.
Never a dull moment.
Hi, Catherine.
Good morning.
I apologize for not getting back to you about the parade. I was out of town.
That's
and
okay.
I got
That's
your message late.
Not a problem.
Just give it a couple of more minutes if you don't mind. I asked our treasurer to zoom in with us. Hi, Melissa, and our social service.
I'm
person.
Melissa.
Hello.
Is that Dave in the office? Yo, who are we missing?
I asked Sherry Susie to join us and she said she's gonna try.
Okay, good.
We'll just give her another minute or so, and if not, we'll go ahead. All right, well, I know everybody's on a pretty tight schedule, so I've got 11:32. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. This is a special meeting of the Board of Selectmen with invited guests. All members are present. And item 3 is meet with the Ashford School representatives to discuss and or act on the after-school childcare policies and procedures program. And again, thank you all for joining us. We're getting to the stage, and I know that there's been discussion. I know Cindy and I have had several discussions about hopefully focusing on a September 1st kickoff. Just to bring everybody up to date on where we are at this point. We have verified with our insurance carrier that the program will be covered in the participants at no cost to the town. We verified with the school that they are willing to utilize what we've used in the past for the program or what other vendors have as far as the cafeteria at the school and I guess the gym on some occasion, although I'm not sure the frequency of that. Dave Roston, who has joined us, is the chairman of the rec committee and has done extensive work on putting together projected costs and expense ratios on it. Melissa, who's our social service person and youth services, has been in somewhat of an advisory capacity because she's very familiar with the need and some of the protocols that have taken place both in the past and in some other towns. Sherry Susie, who is our town treasurer, and I'm hoping will be able to join us, is very familiar with programs that she's been affiliated with both in the towns of Brooklyn and Sterling, and obviously will be an integral part of our finance office. That at this point, our understanding is that our finance office, that the 3 anticipated staff that will be hired will actually be employees of the town. Their payroll records and every facet of that will be handled through our finance office. And the protocol that we saw or projected would happen with that would be that there's going to be 3 positions that we're anticipating hiring for the program, and one would be a supervisor, the other one would be assistant supervisor, and the other would be an assistant. That the supervisor would be in direct charge of timesheets, tracking attendance and that sort of thing. And of course, turning them in on, we pay our people on a bi-weekly basis. Those sheets would be signed by those people. We're anticipating Cindy would sign off on those. They would come to me for final approval and payment. Just one of the aspects that we're talking about. Any questions regarding any of that?
Bill, you indicated that this self-funding program, but how much are the startup costs again?
Well, it kind of runs in line with some of the things I'm hoping to discuss. I had a discussion with Stafford Springs. It's my 3rd discussion with them today. Their curriculum director, who is Steve Autieri, of the several towns that I've spoken with, oh, Sherry just joined us. Hi, Sherry. They have been operating this program. He has been there, I think this is his 11th year, and it was in operation in Stafford for 5 years before that. So I've kind of relied on them on feedback of certain information of protocols, but going through their program directives, they ask for payment a month in advance from participants. And the due and the tuition would be paid or due on the first of each month. I'm anticipating that being said, and Sherry might be able to help us with this, that the fund will be self-generating.
But do we have startup costs related to background checks and supplies, that kind of thing? So
What Dave and I had talked, and David, you can jump in here. We anticipated for some food supplies, an emergency kit. If in fact, as I'm going to assume most of you know, we do have 3 outstanding applications. My understanding, 2 of which are paraprofessionals already at the school. That would not need, I mean, one of the ideal situations with if we're able to hire staff from our paraprofessionals at the school, they already have the training, they already have the background checks, and those things. So I know the third one that I'm familiar with that put an application in, although they have not been interviewed yet, I understand is an ex-teacher. That would be the only one at this point that I think would need a background check. I don't know what that cost would be. David, do you have any?
Well, right now, based upon that, I base it upon, the startup will be 15 students based upon $100, or it comes up to $1,500 a week. And what I projected was that $47,000 to $48,000 will go towards labor costs over the school year period. And based upon $1,500 a month, a week, we would have a total of 24,000 max left that would be contributed to supplies and other costs that's going to be related. The idea behind it is that the program would take, in my terms, a loan from the town, and throughout the period would pay back the town with that extra funds that are being generated. So if we have a startup cost of $1,500 to cover the cost of background checks and other things, food,
food supplies.
Exactly, just a startup. Over a period of time, we'll be able to pay back the town itself from the $24,000 that's being generated left over. Now that the cost is going to be different, and it's something that we have to sit down and really base upon what are we going to charge the parents in this particular case. I base it upon $100. Now, if you come down to $75, that means that you have to have a minimum 20 students within the program itself. But everything is based upon what I based it upon was $1,500 per week over the course of the school year, which is going to generate approximately $63,000. And with the labor cost, the projection will be between $47,000 to $48,000 with a, I don't want to call it profit or anything, but it's, you have an additional leftover funds of $24,000 that's going to be used for various things as food, supplies, and also over the course of the time on a weekly basis be given back to the town what the program actually took the loan out for. Did I lose?
All
anybody?
right, so the upfront cost
Would be,
is,
would be
is-
paid over a period of time.
no, I know, I understand that.
Okay.
So the upfront cost, that loan would be how much?
I'm a basing upon $1,500. And what that would include is a background check.
No,
They-
I understand
Okay.
all that. I'm just asking for the bottom line number for the startup costs.
I don't have the exact bottom line. These are only projections. Because if you go down to the state police, the last time I was fingerprinted, it cost me $15 for FBI, $25 for the state. So I don't know.
How about just general anticipated ballpark
I'm gonna
number?
put it out there, $1,500.
That's the startup cost?
That's.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
talking about a loan.
just a seed money. Yeah, thank you for that term. Yeah, seed
So
money.
that's seed money, but we're
Yes.
talking about a loan that is for more than 1,500 because you're gonna be paying it back over the course of the
Right.
year.
Right.
So bottom line, I just want the number. I'm
Oh, no.
not criticizing it or anything. I just want the number. So it's not really $1,500. You need to make sure that you have a certain amount in the kitty for this, correct?
For
And so
startup.
that in itself would be a loan from the town
Correct.
to make sure that everything is covered as you go into this. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
All right, so that sounds like, I'm trying to figure out how much that really is.
Catherine, I heard him say in the beginning, 48,000.
That's what I heard too.
No,
Yeah.
That was for salaries.
Correct.
a year. That's for the 48,000 for salaries for the entire school year. And then you'll
Right.
have $24,000 left over. Because the total amount that's going to be, the total amount intake is $63,000 based
Yep,
upon
I've
15.
got all-
100.
got all that.
Okay. No,
So-
I just want to make sure, because I see people's faces are a little puzzled. So I just want to make sure it's clear.
Okay, so, we can, Bill, maybe, I don't know if we do it at this time or at a later time, we can talk about how that money gets forwarded if we're putting a kitty or whatever to make sure that the program is covered for the year. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think we got to keep in mind that if we start taking in revenue at least a month in advance of the program started, there's going to be money in that fund already. But the only thing I do want to mention, and I know Sherry's got other commitments here and join us. Sherry, you've actually worked this in a couple of other towns that are familiar with it. If you could give us an overview of how you perceive it, it would be
Okay.
appreciated.
Okay, the two other towns, we have a that after school program, as we
Nice.
call it. You know, if you're looking for it to be self-supporting, you know,
Mhm.
salaries definitely is gonna be something that you're gonna have to look to float probably the first month at least, but not only salary, you have the Social Security Medicare portion that also needs to be addressed to that 0.0765% of your salaries that you're paying out. So that's something that also needs to be taken into, consideration there. I don't know how workers' comp is being held, I know, they're part-time, but still, if something were to happen, they're gonna fall under your workers' comp, so that becomes a cost. My other question to you, I mean, I'm throwing out questions now instead of kind of proposing, but these are things that, I've had to address in my other towns. How many weeks? And I understand it's gonna be school year that this is going to be the school calendar.
That's our intention.
Okay, how about the weeks that are, the days that are being closed, school's not in session, are you still gonna have a program? And how about vacations? Is that
Well, if
something?
we, I've spoken personally with Coventry and Stafford rather, and this program is only accessible for full school days.
Okay,
It's not for any other days, any vacation or anything else. It's only for days that school is actually being held.
Okay,
And,
that-
and let me paraphrase that. It would be
Yes.
when children are attending school.
So we're doing 2 half days that we talked about, Bill, that would be included or no?
Are those
Well-
half days with students?
That's
The
one of the,
students, the students leave half day, but the teachers stay the full day.
So
For PD.
Yeah, the program runs from 3 to 6,
Okay.
so it
that's
shouldn't be
it.
a factor.
Okay,
Those are set hours for the program.
all right.
okay, that makes sense because that was gonna be my other question, because I knew when we have half days with our school, the program starts at, let's say, 12:30. So the kids are here from 12:30 to 6. So.
No,
Okay,
no,
but that was just one of my other things I was gonna go ask,
Yeah.
because that needs to be addressed, because that'll be an issue for parents that I know, from that.
Is that something that's
Okay.
negotiable?
What's that?
Is that
What do you mean
something that's
negotiable?
negotiable? I would just think if a parent is relying on this for childcare,
Yeah,
that a half day is something that they're gonna need childcare for.
correct.
right. I don't think that we can take care of all of their needs.
it's.
We're
not
talking
gonna-
about fundamental, their child attends full day of school and they need after school care. So trying to do something where you're working with, early dismissals and things like that that are planned just doesn't, or even unplanned, is not something that we're going to be able to deal with.
Okay, I mean, you're talking early dismissals. I'm talking snow day. I mean, not a snow day. Say kids are in and you're having an early
Till noon.
dismissal. So parents rely, that their child's gonna be at this program, not knowing, that we're gonna be dismissing early. So we're gonna have to make sure that parent knows that they have to come pick up their child or make arrangements, because normally they'd be thinking this child's gonna be at the school until 6. So
Every
they've got to
parent,
make arrangements to pick
Jane.
up.
every parent
you could-
who has a child in the program should be provided with information about how the program runs. So that
We've got-
their expectations are managed up front instead of all of a sudden they get surprised. If you're talking 2 half days of school a year, and is that what's planned at this point? One of those teacher days, what are they?
Yeah, they're preparation days, they're teacher
Staff
development.
development.
Just
I
so I
see-
can keep some semblance of order here, if you
Yeah,
want to make
Jane
a
wants to
comment,
speak.
if you just
Sorry.
raise your hand. Jane, you've had your hand up for a while.
Yeah, I just pulled up the school calendar. This is last year's, because it's the one I got fastest. It looks like there were 7 half days last year. 3 of those are the week of Thanksgiving, where we have parent-teacher conferences in the afternoon. But in terms of like an impact to the people in this program, I think as this being our first year, I think the idea of doing just the full days, even though it does leave people kind of in the lurch for those 7 days, we're just getting off the ground this year. I think that we should probably just focus on the full days and then look to maybe expanding to those half days in the future. But in terms of total impact, it's very small because there are only 7 days. So.
Yeah, Jane, I think, that's what I was anticipating us doing. Jen, just to refer back to Stafford, they make it very clear when they're laying out their rules. The program operates on full school days only. They've been doing this for a number of years. What
Very
I
good.
really anticipated us doing was getting the program in place, go with whatever minimums we feel that we can meet easily right now, and then do a review after the first semester or whatever, and see if there are some adjustments that make sense that we can do it. But I really think it's kind of imperative at this point that we make it very clear and succinct, and we don't overcommit ourselves and just go with the full days.
The other thing I'd like to point out is that we cannot automatically assume that we are going to have paras conducting the program, only because we're an equal opportunity employer. So it needs to be offered out there. It would be great, and I'm assuming we will have paras handling this program for the most part. But if we have a situation where a para no longer wants to do it and we have to fill it, and fill the position, we have to be in a position to be able to do that. So when we plan, let's plan smart, which is don't assume that it's just going to be the paras. Let's make sure that we have all of the kinds of things we need to have in place if we're getting, I don't know, a student from UConn or, someone else, someone from EastCon coming in.
I'll just remind everybody, the reason we don't have EastCon anymore or the affiliate with the YMCA is because they could not get staff to do this.
Right.
I had begged to both of them to reconsider the program and was told under no circumstances would they take this on because of that lack of reliability on staffing.
And Bill, and everybody, we anticipate that all three employees will be present each day. What is, yeah.
From what I understand, and Dave is more familiar with the language in the statute, but that would be required when it's the three for 20 students or less, the three would be required to be on staff daily.
Okay, so that means, we need to make sure we have a little bit of a buffer there in case someone's sick. Because that's going to put the parents at a disadvantage if we all of a sudden can't hold the program that day. So, something to be considered.
Yeah, I think the supervision was a 10-to-1 ratio, so that if somebody.
So the
is-
three gives us a buffer.
Yeah, three gives
Yeah.
us a buffer.
Sherry, I think we interrupted you in mid-sentence here, but did you have some more you wanted to add?
No, those questions were answered. Thank you. I don't have anything else at the moment that I can think about for the program. I think you've
So-
covered just about everything that I had questions on.
So
Okay.
having you here at this
Mhm.
point, so we're anticipating that checks would be made out to the town for the program,
That's correct.
and they would need to be, we're now saying they made a month in advance.
Okay,
And if people are paying a month in advance, or are they paying at the beginning of the month? I'm not sure how we're talking about that. But if a check
The way Stafford and Coventry is they pay a month in advance. And then
yes,
from there forward, they pay by the first of each month.
yes, that would be correct. We have that in place here in Sterling and also in my other town.
So in the other towns, if a check bounces, what do you do?
Basically, as soon as I get the information, I let the rec director know, and basically, then, or I can let at the program that you don't allow the child to come to the program. Probably that one day, and then when, as soon as we get a check or, money to cover, then the child can come back.
Do you
That's
know how the
usually what
parent,
happens.
do you know how the parent is notified? I
Usually
hate to have a child showing up and all of a sudden they can't be in the program.
Yeah, no, usually, let's say I get a notification today that the check is, check bounced. Here, the rec director takes care of the after-school program. So he's notified, and then when the child is picked up that day, the parent is notified then. And, then they make arrangements. Most of the time, a parent will get something within the day, so it's not a problem. But there have been some cases that, the next day is ignored, and then that's when we notify the school that that child does not come over on the bus. They have to be.
Okay. So we're
So-
gonna have a situation where our rec director is not the person managing this.
Right,
So-
so then I would contact whoever is the person at the school saying, hey, so-and-so bounced a check. Please let the parent know. I need a check ASAP that, we need it within, let's say, 2 days tops.
So you're, yeah,
And if that doesn't come through, well, then it's up to, whoever's in place saying, well, your child can't come to the program until this balance is taken care of.
okay, so you're talking about that top position of the three.
Yes,
being the person who tells the parent.
yes.
Okay. As opposed to getting the superintendent or the first selectman involved in that.
Well, it depends on that tier, how that's going to work.
That's why I'm asking now, just to kind of get a
Yeah.
sense of it.
Yep. Yep, that will have to be decided, who's gonna be the person I contact and
I
what's
would
the
assume
order.
that I would be supporting the person communicating with the parent.
Thank you, Cindy.
Yeah, and you know, I just want to be clear too, just so everyone's on the same page. There's no way that I would feel comfortable not letting the child come.
That's how
So,
I feel.
yeah, I don't want to shame the child in any way. I
Mhm.
would, you know, if it got to that point, then I would be working with the family.
Okay.
All the communication through the family, not through the kid.
Oh,
Excellent.
absolutely. I agree with that. Absolutely.
And Melissa, you could end up being in the mix as well, in all likelihood, if in fact there was some kind of a financial hardship.
I was
Right.
also wondering how we could apply to accept Care for Kids.
Except what?
Care for Kids. It's
I
the
don't know what that
state-
is.
It's a state program that helps pay for childcare.
Oh. That would
Yeah.
be good to find out. What is it, income based in all
It
likelihood?
is, yeah.
Yes. Yes, it is.
If we
I
could get some
can
more
s-
information on that, that would be great. That could help certain
Okay, I'll look
families.
into it. I'm not exactly sure the procedure.
I
Okay.
can tell you past practice with Care for Kids, they don't pay in a timely fashion. That's the only issue that I have on my end.
Do they pay in the end?
Yeah, they do. It's usually have to keep on them. I know that's been a problem in, my other towns that are receiving
you
payment in a
know-
timely fashion.
Did your
So,
towns have to apply to be like
Yes.
accepting of it?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Sherry,
I think-
have you ever, of either of the towns you're familiar with, utilized ARPA funds to help subsidize any of this?
Not for after school. They,
Bill, that's
Mansfield does.
yeah,
They do.
after school,
that's a temporary fix.
yes.
I was just wondering on a startup basis if there was any assistant or whatever.
That's
Other
a
quick question.
possibility.
Other
Bill, I
quick
would
question,
I would
Sherry.
recommend that.
Mhm.
Another quick question, Sherry, is
Yes.
if there's an unforeseen cancellation, like a snow day or an emergency where the school would be shut down or whatever, are there refunds made to participants?
Depending on the circumstance, for the most part, no, because what happens is if parents are paying for daycare, you're paying regardless because you're holding a position. That position is geared for that child. So, I mean, I can say, my own personal, we were not refunded because I would have to, if I was doing private daycare, I'd be paying that week regardless if they were there because that's holding a position.
But
So
we have some parents who don't want full week. They want
Well,
certain days.
you can do a partial. You can do partial. I've seen that in both places where say, a full week is 100. If they want to do 3 days, it's $75. I'm
I-
just throwing a number, but you could do that.
I
Then
think
they
at
would
the
say which days.
beginning, particularly with the limited number of occupants we're going to allow to take advantage of this, we ought to go with full weeks. And then if that's not working or we turns out to be different where we can work in partial weeks, do
Mhm.
that first. I think the critical one
I
is to address.
think that
the
makes
full
sense.
week.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah. Roger, you've been quiet over there. You got any thoughts or?
No, just- I'm drinking all this in.
Okay. David, anything you wanted to add to?
Just listening, everything.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Bill,
I mean,
could I-
everybody, I was, kind of quickly talking with Dave, I mean, for the startup funds and what have you, we're talking about, a hard number, I mean, we talked about $1,500 for, the miscellaneous things, and then talking to Dave, it was just like, well, no, I mean, if we need a background check, I mean, really, so, total seed startup money is talking into the realm of, just $2,000.
At
Yeah.
least.
which I think was what we've talked about from the
Yeah.
beginning that we thought.
Yeah.
Bill, could I have the ad that went out? Cause I'd like to post it. I know we have applicants. But I mean, should we repost the positions so that we can kind of run some interviews and get that going too?
I've got the 3 applications that originally, and we haven't followed up on those. The only ad that appeared, Cindy, was, and I'm not looking to put anybody in the middle on this thing, was somewhat of an unauthorized ad that was included in the rec committee's notice.
Okay,
But I think it's a good idea to get the word out there ASAP. I have, just a matter of information for everybody, I have put the Ashford Citizen on notice to reserve at least a page, perhaps a page and a half for our August publication. I'm thinking if we need an application form in there for participants or whatever we need, or just to list what our, what we finalize with our rules and procedures we're going to follow. So I've already reserved that for us and that's going to be due by the 20th of the month. So
Right.
we're short on time on that. But
I will put an ad on our Applitrak so that we have it digitally too.
okay,
And then people can fill out the applications, and I can send those to you when I get them.
excellent.
We can both review them. But I'd like to get the ad out again, ASAP so that we can
I agree.
move on this.
Yeah, I
So-
agree. I
so
had sent
Cindy-
to everyone some draft job descriptions.
I have those and
But-
I've put them on a Word doc.
Okay.
I can use those as the basis of our ad.
Yeah, and if you want to refine them, I know they need some equal opportunity language added, that, some sort of stuff. If you want to, make some refinements and we can get together to refine those and get those out ASAP. We can put them on the town webpage too.
Okay.
As well, and get those out. We can also probably, I had good luck with UConn circulating all municipalities, any municipal positions that are coming up. We've got a good resource there. I don't think it'll generate anything, but we might as well get the word out there as much as we have access to do.
Yep. Catherine, you had a question?
No, you said you've put them in a Word document?
I have the job descriptions in a Word document. I can send them to this group.
That would be wonderful.
Great.
I'm missing one of them. And for whatever reason, I have the supervisor and the helper.
Yeah, I have the assistant supervisor one too.
Right.
Send those over.
That would be great. Thank you.
Yep.
And Cindy, if you just copy everybody that's in on this group,
Yep.
we'll just make
That's what
sure
she
we
said.
try to coordinate between us. No, that's a
So
good
we
idea.
have certain things we wanted to look at in this meeting, and if I understand correctly, Bill, emergency procedures, enrollment policy, staff selection, payments and tuition policies. It sounds like we've kind of generally covered payments and tuition policies. They have to be written up. But in terms of how we think we're going to handle the money, the payments, that kind of thing, we've at least touched on it.
We have, I think this is a one of several meetings that we're gonna have to, and
Okay,
we're short on time, but I had just, those were just some personal things that I written down. I worked out some other things that, and I'll just go over them, several of them we've already touched on, but my own personal notes was finance office preparation, setup of accounts. We'll be looking to Sherry and Laura probably for guidance on that. I think we've already started discussions. I've given the Board of Finance a heads up that we're going to be coming to them and an idea of where we're trying to get to, but with the understanding nothing has been finalized. Application form, I think we've already discussed that. Selection criteria. I'd be happy, Cindy, if you and I and Jane or we want to pick somebody else to be in on the interview committee, I'm happy to help with that.
I'd like to participate on that committee.
Supplies needed. You know, I mean, roughly what we're talking about, my discussions with Stafford are snacks. You know, some beverages, milk or whatever they have. I think Cindy will look to you to make some recommendations. You're probably used to that.
Yeah,
Where your staff is there.
yeah,
Emergency protocols. You know, I think one of the things that we need to address is if a child gets sick. What time does the nurse leave the premises there, Cindy?
she's usually here until about 4.
Okay. So if something happened between 4 and 6, I think we ought to just have a protocol on what we'll follow on that.
Yeah, I mean, Dave's provided like information sheet or just you know, as part of the application packet or what acceptance packet.
Okay,
That would provide all that information.
good for
doctors,
contact
yeah,
information. That
Yeah,
good.
Well,
The only other thing that I had is utilization of combined networking in school town, and you know, we also have something we call Text My Gov here for getting notices out if, you know, if we end up having to call a half a day or school and everything. I think we've got the resources there for us to coordinate to get the word out to the community.
Yeah, definitely. I also, Bill, you've been in contact with a couple of towns that do this with the school.
Yeah,
Could you ask them if they have any policy books or anything that they could share with us?
I will.
I've reached out to a couple of people also. It's vacations right now, so
Yep.
I haven't gotten anything back, but everyone's always so willing to share. So
Dave's
Instead of
got a
waiting-
handbook that, you know, they had kind of brainstormed and put together, so.
That's
For
Oh, okay.
Coventry, and certainly we'll make that available.
We'll get that
That's-
scanned and send that to
Good.
everybody. I've been talking, I talked this morning with Coventry. They're going to send me a copy of their application form for those taking part or wanting to take part in the program. Stafford's going to do the same thing. I just thought for a guideline that we can take a look at and, you know, double check ourselves.
yeah, and if everyone's okay with it, if I get those documents and I'll put them in one document and then share it out
Absolutely.
for different ideas, I can put different types together and
Yeah.
then do my best shot at creating one and then sending it out to everyone to review. Does that
Well,
sound?
that's great.
You certainly did good with that RFS that we're finalizing. So
I
we
know that Sherry
we know
York
you
has
have the
collected
talent.
a bunch already.
She has?
Yeah, I know she has Coventry's, Stafford's. I don't know if she's here today.
Yeah, anything
Sherry
that's
York.
sent to me, I can cut and paste and do what needs to be done, so I get at least something that we can all look at.
Excellent.
Yeah, and you can cast an educated eye at it. As you're going through them and seeing where the similarities are and what might be missing.
Right,
So
right.
that's good.
We'll get this that we've already got from Coventry, but I'll ask them if they've got any update. Both of the towns that I talked with this morning had not got into their next year's finalized applications and that, so we're not that far delinquent, but Melissa, anything else you wanted to add? I know you.
No,
Sherry? Thank you for joining us, Sherry. I know you're taking a break from where you are now, but David, anything?
Not a problem.
No?
I-
Do we wanna set another meeting, say a week from today? Same time? Does
Same time,
this
yes.
time work for everyone?
Yep, works
Yes.
for me.
All right, when?
And I didn't know there was a time limit on the meeting. So what is the time frame so that we can work within it?
Work on what
Is it
meeting?
an hour? Is it half an hour?
I didn't say, you mean on this meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, and for our future meetings, because we also know you're working. There are people who are working, so.
Well,
I'm
I'm
just
going
trying
to
to make sure that
anticipate
we don't
Sherry,
run over.
probably Sherry, Susie won't be able to join us on every meeting because she has other obligations, but I didn't set a time limit. I mean, I would hope that we'd be able to do whatever we need to do within an hour.
Good.
But I haven't set any limits. Jane, I know your availability is somewhat limited, but
Yes, but Cindy is obviously the person that really needs to be here, so
okay.
I'm
All
optional.
right, well, we like you here.
Thank you. And I really appreciate the town working with us to really figure this out. You know, I think you guys all know this is a real need. As a working mom, it was something that was very challenging for me for years. So I'm super excited that we're able to offer this program. And I really appreciate all the work that you guys have done, the rec committee and selectmen, all of you, just really appreciate it. So thank you.
Well, no, thank you. I was a bit shocked when Melissa and I had a conversation months ago and realized we only have 2 certified daycare centers in town. And I mean, my emails have been very, very active over the past 6 or 7 months about families explaining to them how much of a hardship it is for them. I got one over, well, it was Thursday or Friday last week. It said, no, we need it because we had said we were going to start a program at 20 participants. Says, no, we need more like 80. And I said, well, we're going to start slow. Stafford Springs is certified to do up to 120, but they found with them, their maximum is 80. And they've been holding at that figure for the past 10 years. It's not a real easy program to run. And there's obviously a lot of responsibility. And that's why we all take it seriously. And when I catch hell from people about dragging our feet, I try to emphasize how much of a responsibility this is for all of us that are involved in it. So, but
And
thank
I'd
you
like to-
all.
I'd
Go
like
ahead.
to thank Dave because he's done a yeoman's job in putting together, information, some kind of a plan, the finances, the job descriptions that we're working with, and very special thanks to him.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
All right, I will send out notices for our next meeting. It will be a week from today, same time. And
Okay.
we'll take it from there. All
And
right,
and
folks.
if people can
Very
get
good.
those documents, so I can have something so that we can work with something
Absolutely.
to work with.
I hear you.
All
I
right,
will entertain a motion for adjournment from my board.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Right?
I've got 12:14. Thank you, folks.
thank you.
Have
Bye-bye.
a good day. Stay
Thanks.
dry.
Hey, Cindy.
Yes.
I'm leaving for Scotland on Sunday and I'll be gone for 2 weeks. So don't let me hold you up. Just keep plowing ahead.
All right. Thanks, Jane.
Let's
Thank
all
you.
go to Scotland for the meeting.
Yeah.
You're all welcome.
Have fun.
Thank
Bye.
you. Take care.
Bye.
Was this useless?